everyone, I'm Jodi. Welcome to my channel. I'm really glad that you're here today, and I'm really sorry that I still sound congested. I am on day like 7 of this, so if you are new, please hang in there. I promise you, I think I can promise you that this congestion will not last forever, but it is a stupid head cold, and I am off camera working really hard to get rid of this sound. So it's not my audio. I have very good audio. It's here. It's all right here. We're gonna get past that because today's show is a really good one that I think you're gonna be interested in. One of my promises when creating this channel was to share helpful information to busy and ambitious women and moms just like you, 40 plus, who want to look and feel their very best while keeping their busy lives all together. I listen to beauty podcasts, entrepreneurial podcasts on a regular basis. I do a lot of traveling, and whenever I'm in the car, I am listening to podcasts. So today's video is all about the top tips and tricks that I gathered throughout 2022 from the podcasts that I listen to. I'm also going to share with you what my favorite podcasts are, and they're really by category. So if you're looking for beauty tips, if you're looking for more skincare, more the science of skincare, I've got you covered, and I'm going to give it to you all today. Another thing I wanted to share with you is a really exciting announcement. This is the last video that you'll have on a Thursday. However, that's really good news. Starting next week, the new videos are going to be coming out on Tuesdays and Fridays instead of Monday, Thursday. The reason I'm launching a new program every other Friday called Friday Face Off, where we are going to start to look at some of the top rated and in some cases overrated beauty products, skincare, makeup, hair care, and we're gonna face it off in a deep dive side-by-side comparison with an alternative product. And the reason I wanted to do this is because I love the idea of dupes. I love the idea of here's a really expensive product, but here is something that's equally as good. But I started to question how these dupes are coming about, and you see sometimes the same dupe product to align with a luxury product. And I thought, yeah, I can come on here and say, oh, this is a great dupe, but it's a dupe for who? For what skin type? For what skin color? One of the first ones that I'm most excited about is we're gonna face off the Essence Waterproof Mascara, which I know is a big favorite of many of yours, against Lancome's Defensal's Waterproof Mascara. Why? Because it's important for you to know maybe the difference is worth the extra couple dollars. Maybe it isn't. We're also going to look at things like hair treatments, dry shampoos, translucent powder. The list goes on and on and on. I'm really excited about these Friday face-offs. The end result will be you having the information that you need to be the best informed for your buying decisions and where and how you want to spend your hard-earned money. So as we're talking about this, if there are products that you're like, gosh, they both sound really good, but I'm not sure which one I should try, leave me a comment in this video or any of the Friday face-offs of which 2 products you would like to see go head-to-head, and we'll do it right here on a Friday face-off. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, you can do that right here. You can also like this video, which I'm learning more and more about the algorithms, you guys, how this whole YouTube thing works. If a video is liked and or shared and or there's a comment, it helps boost it up in the algorithms and puts it in front of other people that might be looking for similar content. There's so much to this behind the scenes algorithm stuff that I'm learning all the time. So if you'll do all those things, I would appreciate it. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into my top takeaways from all the podcasts of 2022. One of my favorite go-to beauty podcasts is Breaking Beauty. It's created and hosted by 2 former beauty bloggers, Carlene and Jill, and they have on the most fascinating beauty guests. And so you're getting quick tips and tricks on different things that makeup artists want to share with you, as well as the latest beauty products. They talk a lot about products that they use, and you guys can imagine they get sent a lot of new products by brands, and it's always fascinating to get their take on them and a real honest opinion. One of my favorite podcast episodes in 2022 when they had Daniel Martin on, who's the makeup artist for Meghan Markle, and he shared a lot of different tips. He's also one of the creators of some of the best Tatcha products. products that we use today. Touch of Silk Canvas, for example, love that primer. 2 tips that he shared that I have started to incorporate. One of them that I thought was a really good tip is when you are needing to have long wearing eyeliner, like for a long event, a wedding, you need it to look very nice, but also perhaps waterproof, is he uses dark brown or black waterproof mascara. And then he'll take that mascara and put it on an angled brush, a small angled eyeliner brush, and use the mascara as an eyeliner, whether it's under your eye or above your eye. And his experience leads him to believe that that mascara lasts a really long time as waterproof eyeliner. So it makes sense. There's always more than one way to use a product. I had not thought about the mascara onto the eyeliner from a waterproof perspective, but love that one and I have tried it. It does work good. It just takes a slow hand. He's a makeup artist. He probably uses all the time he needs. In our busy lives, it's not ideal for everyday use because it's a liquid eyeliner per se. So you just have to be real slow with it, but it does last a really long time. So if you've got a long day ahead of you where you need to look sharp, then you might want to give that tip a try. The other tip that he talked about that I had not thought about, but you guys, it's made a big difference to me, and it's really easy to find out for yourself, and why we didn't think about this. When you use foundation and a concealer, it's really important to ensure that the base formula is the same. What I mean by that is if your foundation is oil-based, your concealer should also be oil-based. And you'll know what base your product is when you look at the list of ingredients. If the first ingredient is oil, then it is more than oil-based. So for me, that was really important because if you think about oil and water, they don't mix. So if one of your products, if your foundation, for example, is heavily concentrated with oil, and then you put a water concealer on top of it, of course it's not gonna blend flawlessly. You're not gonna get that seamless, smooth, natural looking transition between your foundation and your concealer. For me, that meant taking a look at my YSL foundation, first ingredient, water, and the concealer, first ingredient in my Tarte Tape Shape Concealer is also water. And I think it helps explain why sometimes a makeup application looks better than other times. That is something you definitely want to take a look at. And remember, with our aging eyes, you don't have to try to read these ingredients on the back. I mean, why is it even there? Because we can't see it, but you can check these out on the website of the maker. So YSL, go to this product, and right below how to use it, it will give you the ingredients. So it's super easy and really fast to find out what your main ingredient is in these 2 products. Another great episode from the Breaking Beauty podcast. They say it's so close to Breaking Bad. I'm sure I will not get through this video without calling that Breaking Bad. Another great podcast from Breaking Beauty that aired on August 31st was with Dr. Kashana Kinrid. And she is a dermatologist focusing on hair. And I really recommend that you guys listen to that podcast specifically. She was so knowledgeable about hair and hair follicle and things that makes hair grow. And as we are aging and we start to lose hair and our hair thins, she had some very good tips and tricks. One of the takeaways that I wrote down from that podcast was the tighter the curl of your hair, the less often you should wash it in a week. So for example, if you have very tight curled hair, it should be washed no more than twice a week. In fact, you want to condition it more. And if you have straight hair, the more often you should wash it, about 3 times a week. And the reason was because the straight hair will collect dirt more easily and you're able to then rinse it. Where tightly curled hair, the dirt can't get to it as easily, so it doesn't need to be cleaned as often. In fact, you want to condition tightly curled hair more often. She also talked about one of the latest trends all over TikTok, and that is rinsing your hair in rice water, and why that's really not a good idea. Because essentially what's happening is when that rice is breaking down, you end up with a molecule called DMDM-hydatonin, which is a formaldehyde. So something you definitely would not want to be putting on your hair. So she had a lot of really good points and I enjoyed listening to her, and she just broke it down from a doctor's perspective versus a TikTok perspective. So really highly recommend for all hair types that you check out that podcast. Another one of my favorite podcasts is the Eco Well, and this is all about the science behind skincare. And you guys, if you want to learn more about not just the science of skincare, but some of the misleading information about skincare that's out there, and you want to hear from true cosmetic chemists, or you want to hear from formulation chemists, people that are creating the formulas of the skincare. Some of these episodes were fascinating, and there's one specific one that I would say was my very top recommendation for the year. This one was with Dr. Gabriella Baki, a PhD out of the University of Toronto, and her credentials, you guys, are so impressive, and she was really, really impressive. And in full transparency, one of the reasons I want you to listen to it was because some of the words that she used were so big but so important that I knew I could not get them right by trying to articulate exactly what she was saying and how important it was, the structure of your skin. Her educational background is Quality Assurance Specialist Pharmacist, which was a postgraduate specialist training program, PhD in Pharmaceuticals, a PharmD, and an MA in Pharmaceutical and Medical Translation and Interpretation. As she talked in this podcast, it was really interesting to listen and learn of how your skin is able to absorb product and how it's not so easy to absorb product. She started off by talking about how the skin has a natural barrier. And so when you go to develop skincare products or cosmetics, you have to figure out how, and it's not easy, a product can penetrate past that natural barrier that is there and have some good impact on the skin. Think of your skin as brick and mortar, the way she described it, is that your cell is that brick. And then what goes around that brick is what's called the lipid layer, the mortar. And that's where you have the best opportunity to penetrate products in, because what's left is hair follicles, pores, and sweat glands. So you've got to break that out even farther. She also talked about how your top layers of skin are oil-like, called lipophilic. And as you penetrate deeper into your skin, you get into the hydrophilic, which is more water-like. And the reason that I enjoyed this podcast so much, and I've listened to it a few different times, was because it helped me look at the marketing that we get from cosmetic companies and skincare companies with a little bit higher eyebrow and a little more level of skepticism, because then I felt educated from not the marketing department, not the sales team, not influencers, but I was educated at how the product was created from a true cosmetic chemist that helps create and study and formulate these types of products, and why active ingredients in some products cannot work the way they are sold to us to work. So I just felt like I was a much more educated buyer after listening to this podcast. And again, she's highly educated, so for me it took a few times for it to all like sort of sink in. I am not a science major. I have a degree in communications. It's very different, so it may not take you as many times to understand exactly what she's saying. I found it very helpful and thought you guys would as well. Another great podcast by the Echo Well was dated April 26th, and it's hosted by Jen, if I didn't say that on the last one. And the reason I really liked this specific podcast was because she talked with Michelle Wong and Esther Olu about the documentary Not So Pretty. It's on HBO, I believe, HBO Max, as well as Amazon. If you guys haven't seen this, you might want to check it out, but listen to this podcast before you watch the documentary, because watching the documentary first will have you running from cosmetics, running from skincare, and really not wanting to put anything on your face than something that comes completely from nature that you went and plucked yourself from a tree. It's frightening in some cases, and what's being shared on the Not So Pretty documentary may or may not be true. What this podcast does, however, is arms you with information that almost debunks some of what they're saying on the documentary. So at least I felt like I got the other side of the story instead of just being bombarded with these images and these stats that on the surface would scare you. But once you peel back and hear from these professionals, it just gives you a little bit more food for thought. And look, I am not an expert in a lot of these things. I'm learning right along with you guys, and it seems like information is changing and you're never sure what to believe. And I'm not even sure what to believe, and I live this stuff every day. But I love the fact that they offer another side, so you're able to take some of these subjects and have broader knowledge, and then you're better informed to make the best decision for yourself. So I found this fascinating. I think you guys will really love it, especially if you've seen that Not So Pretty documentary. The next podcast is Fat Mascara, and it is hosted by Jessica Matlin and Jennifer. On this specific episode, that's so hard to say, Jane Fonda, who was on their episode earlier in the year, had made reference to this area, that line between your skin and your lip that's called the vermilion border, and how as you get older, that it looks less like a border and more like gravel. And I see it myself. I see it on other women. I'm like, what happened to that line? And so a great tip that she has is she takes a pore minimizer primer, something more on the waxy side, like Tatcha's Silk Canvas is the one I've tried. Instead of a lip pencil, she uses that waxy pore minimizer to line the lips, and it really allows you to get that nice straight edge, and it's a little bit harder than a pencil or a gel pencil. And then she goes just to the outside of that, not overlining your lips, but just to the outside of that with an eyebrow pencil, and what you're doing with the line is a shadow. Similar to when you're in art class and you're trying to shadow something in with the #2 pencil. I've done it a few times. It's a little time consuming, so I don't do it every day, but it does help that line look more straight and less gravelly, as Jane Fonda would say. So I love that technique. You just have to find an eyebrow pencil that looks like shadow on your skin. And it's probably the eyebrow pencil that you're using every day if it's not too dark. And last but not least, one of my favorite podcasts of the year. In fact, I follow this individual on social media. I think he's phenomenal. This was also on the Eco Well, hosted by Jen, and she had influencer James Welsh on the show. Now, if you're not familiar with James Welsh, he has grown to popularity on social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, because he started out from the very beginning calling BS on influencers and on brands that are lying to us as consumers. Whether it's influencers using filters, whether it's brands that are using filters and asking influencers to, hey, say how well this product works and we'll pay you, to influencers having paid sponsorships and not sharing to us that it is a paid sponsorship. There are rules by the ASA as well as the FTC that say if you are being paid to sponsor or talk about a product, you have to disclose that before you even share anything about the results or your using of the product. It cannot be just in the bottom of a hashtag on Instagram. If it's a paid sponsorship, it has to be listed up at the very top, right by the person's name. Those are rules that everybody is supposed to be adhering to. And James calls out brands and influencers that are essentially lying to us as a public. And I, as somebody that works in this industry now, really applaud that, because the relationship between consumers and influencers and brands is different in our demographic in the 40 plus than it is for our daughters and granddaughters in some cases. And I'm not saying that they're more easily influenced, but I am saying that they can quickly see something that somebody posts in 5 seconds and now go buy the product because some filtered image of them shows that this pore refining primer made their skin look super smooth. It's kind of BS. And so there has to be structure and guidelines and rules in place. The relationship between consumers and influencers and brands for those of us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s is different. I think we're a more savvy buyer just because of the years of experience of maybe how many bad experiences or being burned on products that we've had. It doesn't make us smarter than, it just, our experience just leads us to be like, you're not going to influence me to buy that new foundation. Thank you. I will take a look at it for myself and I'll listen to people who I trust. So James does a phenomenal job of holding the industry, both from influencers and brands, to the highest level of regulation as well as integrity. And I love, love, love that. It just makes me more proud to be in an industry where there are people like that calling BS on one another. Self-policing, there should be something to that, and he does it better than anyone. And you get that if you follow him on social media. I think you guys would really enjoy him. It just gives you a breath of fresh air and sort of helps you maneuver through what could be perceived as real when in fact it absolutely isn't. For more podcast information, if you have sensitive skin and you want to learn more about how to care for your specific sensitive skin needs, there's a podcast called Beauty Bites by Dr. K, Secrets of a Plastic Surgeon. Majority of her episodes are built around different skincare products, techniques designed specifically to help those with sensitive skin. Again, if you want more science of skincare, then the Eco Well, phenomenal. And then Breaking Beauty is really one of my favorites for just your go-to, what's hot, what's trending, what products are good, what are people not loving, why, and I think you would enjoy that as well. I hope you guys found this episode, why am I saying episode? I've never said episode. I'm in like podcast world right now. Well, those are some of the top tips and takeaways from hours and hours of podcast listening. And again, you guys, There are so many good episodes within these podcasts and so many more on beauty. So if you're short on time and you're looking just to listen to a different type of medium, I believe in collaboration over competition. I think you would enjoy any of these podcasts. And if you come up with some great tips and tricks, leave them in the comments below so the rest of us can share them as well. And before I let you go, let me not forget to share with you this sweater because I am really loving it. It came in 2 colors. It's by Paige. It is a thick turtleneck at the top. It doesn't flip over. It's very easy to wear. I've worn this with a few different bras and nothing has shown here, so I think it's cut just right. It's not too low. I don't like anything where you can see any lines here, so it's perfect for that. It is long sleeved. The sleeves are cuffed. You can see some cute detail to the shirt, and then it falls just at the waist, a little bit below. For those of you that are wearing higher jeans right now, it should go far enough below where your high jeans would stop. If you're wearing lower cut jeans, it may not go quite as far down as you would like it to because it's a little bit shorter, but it's not crop. I would say it's right in between. It's the perfect length for style right now without going too high up and showing too much of the midriff. So that does it for me, you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And remember, next week's videos will start coming out on Tuesdays and Fridays at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you real soon. Bye-bye.